I knew the day would come where I'd have to say goodbye. And even though I knew that that day would come, when it came, it was still hard. My Bobby, my gorgeous, beautiful cat, died after 20 years of being with me. And it's hard. 20 years is a long time, a very long time. And although Bobby was a cat, love is still love. And I absolutely loved her and adored her. I used to call her my little girl. And everybody, all my friends, my family, everybody who came to the house, they knew she was an integral part of my home. And yeah, I loved her too. So yeah, she's crossed the bridge into kitty cat heaven. So Bobby came to me. She came to me as a kitten. She was about 3 months old. She came to me with her brother from the same litter, Frankie, and Frankie was shot. Somebody shot him with a pellet gun, and he passed away after we'd only had him maybe about 7 or 8 months, and he passed away on 4th of June. And Bobby was, I'd never seen a cat grieve. I didn't even know that animals could grieve. I didn't even know that. And Bobby kind of was acting really odd around his passing. And I took her to the vets because I thought something was wrong with her. And the vet said, no, she's grieving. I was like, grieving? He said, yeah, cats do grieve. And they feel the loss, they notice the loss. And when I thought about it, I thought, of course, they were in the womb together. They were from the same litter. They came and they lived with me together. And yeah, now he's gone. So her behaviour was really strange. She'd be walking around the house. She'd be howling, looking for him. And then when she couldn't find him after a few days, it was literally like she went into a depression. And she stopped eating and drinking. She just looked really sad. And so I took her up to the vet, and that's when he said that she was grieving and to give her about 6 months and she'd be fine. And she was. She bounced back, and yeah, she became the queen of this house. And she was the only cat. She was the only animal for years and years and years. And my life revolved around her. And unless you have pets, if you have pets, you will understand. But my life revolved around her. I'd go shopping, I'd think about food for me and my son, food for Bobby. I'd be going on holiday, I'd have to think about pet care. I'd have to get a sitter in to come in and look after her. Just like me and my son, we'd think about our medical care. Did that for Bobby. She had her insurance. She'd go for her annual checks and all her, dental care. She'd have her flea jabs, her worming treatments. She'd have to have her medical care. I'd be thinking about, heat and warmth and clothing and good quality bedding for me and my son. Same with Bobby, So she was my little girl. She was my little girl. And yeah, she came first. She absolutely, we put the heating on just for her so she could sit by the radiator. She ruled this house. And I loved her. I loved her for it. I loved her little personality. And yeah. And then up until 2 years ago, she was the only cat. So I had her for 18 years. And then we had Benji. I'd adopted Benji. Benji was my nephew's cat. And he, you know, a young teenager, young man, he couldn't look after him. So he asked if I would have him. And I was like, okay, I'll take Benji. And Bobby wasn't happy. She was not happy. Hissy fits all week. She was not happy. She's like, what are you doing here? This is my house. What are you doing here? So, you know, once they settled in, Benji knew she was the queen. And you don't mess with Bobby. You don't mess with her. He'd have to give her a wide berth. If she was sitting on the floor or sitting on the sofa, anywhere she was, and if Benji walked past her, she'd swipe him and she'd hiss at him, and it was like, you're coming too close. So Benji would have to give her a wide berth. So then I had those two for about a couple of months, and then I had Betsy, and well, she was not having Betsy because, you know, Bobby's a girl, although she's called Bobby, she's a girl cat, she's female, and Benji's a boy. So now we had two females in the house. We had the queen and the princess. She was not having that. If she weren't having Benji, she definitely wasn't having Betsy. And she made that known. And then Betsy then went and had her two kittens. And she was okay with the kittens. And I used to catch her grooming them. Yeah. Because Bobby never had kittens of her own. I had her neutered quite early. Because Bobby was a girl and Frankie was a boy. I didn't want them mating, so I had them both. You know, had them sorted early on. So she never had her own set of kittens. So when Betsy had her kittens, she used to like groom them and, you know, look after them, which was really cute. But the cats knew, the four of the cats knew, Bobby is the queen. Yeah, Bobby eats first and then they can come. Bobby drinks first, then they can come. And Bobby has pride of place on the sofa. And nobody else was allowed on the sofa when she was there. And then over the months, she got too tired to fight for her spot. So she used to allow Betsy on the sofa, and some evenings it was me, Bobby and Betsy, just three of us on the sofa with the electric blanket. That became our thing. So yeah, she was, oh my day, she was full of personality. But the last 18 months or so, I've noticed, well, for the last 2 years, to be fair, I've noticed a decline in her. It was really steady, really gradual. And she, you know, she didn't go outside of the house often, but when she did, she would just literally step out on the patio, or in the summer she used to sit on the sofa and get some air and then come back in. She weren't interested in, you know, going out and about. She was done with that. And then I noticed she was sleeping a lot. And I just thought, well, she's old, you know, at 18 human years, she's probably about in her 80s. And I thought, yeah, she's, you know, she's old. So, you know, I'll let that go. So I just kept an eye on her. And then I just noticed she was declining even more. And then she was like limping on her hind legs. But she was still eating, she was still drinking, and she was bright. But then I was just concerned because she was sleeping a lot more. So this kind of went on, and then the past couple of months I just noticed she was losing weight. She was still eating, still drinking, going to the toilet and everything, but I'd come downstairs in the morning and she'd still be on the sofa and she hadn't moved at all. And I was like, oh, this isn't looking right, this isn't looking good. But again, I put it down to the fact that she's old and she hasn't got as much energy. And then the past week, she lost a huge amount of weight. So I start noticing her. She wasn't going for breakfast. She wasn't going to eat. And she was drinking a lot. She was going over to the water bowl and trying to drink. But I noticed that she'd sit by the water bowl for a long time, almost thinking about drinking. And then she would like take a sip, and that was it. And she'd sit and wait and then take another sip. It was like she was struggling to drink. So on Sunday morning, I was like, right, I'm taking her to the vets because something's definitely not right. And I knew in my heart, well, I'd asked my friend, who he absolutely adored her. He adored her. And he used to come in and look after her when I was on holiday. So I said to him, you know, you need to come and see Bobby because I think this is it. And I said, you know, we've got to face the reality. You know, she's 20 human years at this point, which is 96 cat years. Now, cats, the average cat will live to 14 years, 15 years if they're lucky, 16 years if they're truly blessed. You do get cats that live longer than that, but it's very, very, very rare. So for her to be 20, she was rare, you know, for her to live that long. So my friend came and he was so upset. He was really upset because he could see that she had really declined. So the next day I took her to the vet, but I took her knowing in my heart that she wasn't coming home. I knew that. So I took her and the vet had a look at her and I said, you know, you wanted to know what her symptoms were. I said, she's not really eating and she's drinking a lot. And I said, she's lost a huge amount of weight. And the vet said, yeah, she's anorexic. Because literally when you touched her head, you were just touching bone. And then when you stroked her back, you could literally feel her vertebrae. She said, how long has she been like this? I said, maybe a month that she's lost a huge amount of weight. She goes, yeah, she's anorexic. So she took her temperature and she said, yeah, she's cold as well. And I guess, yeah, because I keep putting her on the electric blanket, you know, because I know she's feeling the cold. So I got her own electric blanket on the sofa, so she'd sleep on that. So one half of the sofa would have the electric blanket and the other half just had a regular blanket. So when she was hot, she would just go and cool down on the regular blanket and move between the two of them. That's how pampered she was. I know how many cats have got their own bedroom and their own electric blankets. I know. So I told the vet that, and I also said that her eye was like always full of pus. It was like weeping pus. So the vet made me feel like her temples, and she said, if you feel the temples, there's nothing there, it's a cavity. She said she's lost so much weight and so much muscle, it was just pure cavity, you know. And she said the reason she's struggling to walk, say if she went for a drink, she'd be unsteady on her feet, and she says that's because her muscles have all wasted away. And with her not eating, that would speed it up. And you know, she's seriously dehydrated. I said, yeah, she slept in my bed. I brought her in my bed to keep an eye on her on the Saturday night. And I was up about 7 times with her, literally every hour. She was getting up and going for water. So she said, yeah, she's very dehydrated. So the vet, now I have to say, vets are amazing people, and honestly they do the most wonderful job for our loved ones, for our pets, but they know how to take advantage of you when in your hardest moments. They absolutely do, and it's all for this. And I was quite cross with that afterwards when I reflected. So she says, I says, well, where do we go from here? She goes, she really needs to have some bloods done. And I said, well, how much is it to have the bloods? She says £180. And I thought to myself, well, what are the bloods going to tell me? And after I've had the bloods, if she's got a disease, can it be treated? So the vet said, the bloods is to tell you what disease she's got. She's clearly got a disease, but it's going to let you know what disease it is. And I said, well, if I know what disease she's got, is it treatable? And she goes, yeah, we would be able to treat her. And I looked at Bobby and I thought, how fair would that be? Because clearly she's dying. So I said to the vet, well, if we'd know what illness she's got and we treat her, is that going to prolong her life? And the vet shook her head and she said, no. I says, how long has she got? And she goes, days. Wow. That just broke me. Just broke me. She said she got days. And I was like, so I just had to gather myself for a moment because the shock of hearing that she's got days was just hard. And then I thought to myself, well, if she's got days, why are we spending 180 quid to have a blood test? And the doctor said, well, it's so that you'll know what disease she's got. And I was like, well, why do I need to know? If she's going to die in days, why do I need to know what disease she's got? And if she's going to die in days, is it fair to give her any treatment just to drag it out? So I says to her, I don't think that's a good option. And I was a bit cross with that because I thought, you're trying to get me to spend money for something that has no value. So I said to the vet, well, what disease do you, as in your medical professional opinion, what disease do you think she has? She goes, she's got classic kidney disease, kidney failure. And I was like, okay. She says she's showing all the classic signs, which is very common in older cats. And I thought, okay. I said, so we know she's got chronic kidney failure. Kidneys have stopped working. And that's why every now and again she's just vomiting. And she says, yeah, because there's toxins in her body and that's how her toxins are coming out. When she goes to the toilet, it's rock hard because she's dehydrated. She can hardly walk. Her eye is bad. She's anorexic. I was like, she's dying. She's dying. So I said to the vet, I don't think I want to do the blood test because it's not going to tell me anything. I said, so where do we go from here? So she said, I said, well, what's the options? And she says, the next option is to put us to sleep. And I said, thought about it, and I thought, yeah, that's the kindest thing for her, because then she's not suffering in her final days. So she said what they do is they put a cannula in her arm, in her forearm, in her paw, and then they inject medicine, and then the medicine makes her go to sleep, and then her heart will stop. And she said it's over, it's painless. So I said, oh my goodness, I could hardly speak. I was beside myself. And I said to the vet, I've brought her here knowing that I'm not taking her home, that she's not coming home. So she said, okay. She said, do you want to do that? I goes, yes. So she said, I'll give you a minute. So she went out and got the forms. And then she said, just sign here. So I did. And she says, I'll go and get the equipment. She says, we'll set that up. I said, I don't want to be here. She said, don't you want to be here and hold it? I said, no, don't want to be here when you do it. I said, that's just too hard for me. I said, I don't want to be here. I said, I just want to say goodbye to her now. So she said, okay, we'll give you a few minutes. So she gave me a few minutes, and then she came back in and she says, I'll take her. She says, don't worry, we'll look after her. And that was it. And she says, yeah, you pay on the way out. I was like, okay. So I went out, 260 quid I had to pay. And I was like, so yeah, as you can imagine, it was really a really hard night for me. Really hard coming home and not seeing Bobby on the sofa or not bringing her back with me. So I went to bed and couldn't sleep. And then I thought to myself, in my moment of grief, they didn't even give me any options, because the only option was cremation. So they would put her to sleep and then they would have her cremated. And when the vet come back in after I'd signed the form, she came in with a brochure and she was like, how would you like the box, ashes? She said you could put it in a box, which is free, just a standard regular box, or you could choose a fancier box, and all the prices are there. And at the time I was like, I'll just have the free box. All right. And when I got home, because I thought, goodness me, I don't even know if this is what they charge. Goodness knows how much they're going to charge for, you know, the urn to put her in. So I just said, no, just go for the free box. Anyway, when I woke up the next day and I was thinking about it, I thought, do you know what? They didn't even give me a choice. Because they didn't give me the option of having her put to sleep and then bringing her home and burying her. So I thought about it and I rang the vets back on the Monday morning and I said, has Bobby gone off? Did everything go off well with Bobby? And she goes, yeah, everything's fine and we're sorry for your loss and everything. And then she said, I said, has Bobby gone off for cremation? She goes, no, not yet. She's in the freezer. So I said, okay. So I explained. I says, I wasn't given the choice. It was just cremation and that's it, 260 quid. So I says, is it possible for me to pick Bobby up and I can bury her at home? She goes, yes. Well, she went and checked with the manager and then she came back and she said, yeah, that's fine. I said, yeah, I would prefer that. I says, and given the choice, I would have preferred that. So, so they ended up, it was £155 just for the cremation. So they've refunded me that. And I was like, you know, and when I talked to my daughter-in-law, I was telling her, she said that her mother, my daughter-in-law's mother, lost her dog as well. And same thing, in the moment of grief, they only gave her the one choice, which was the most expensive option. And they didn't even say, well, you could do this, this and that. Because, you know, and for a dog, the cremation would be a lot more. You know, you're probably talking about 400 or 500 quid. And in the moment, you want to do the best for your pet. But not everybody has the money at the time. So I did think that the way that they take advantage of you in your moment of grief isn't right. It's not fair. It's not right. So, they agreed for me to pick Bobby up, but because Bobby was in the freezer, they said, we do not recommend that you look at her. Right, we're going to wrap her up, but do not look at her because it's going to be traumatic for you. And I was like, okay. So my friend, he came and he dug a hole at the back of the garden. I'll put some pictures up. He dug a hole at the bottom of the garden, and I was thinking, I don't know if I can go and pick her up. I don't know. So I asked my friend, I said, you know, can you come with me? So he said, yeah, I'll come with you. But then my daughter-in-law rang me and she says, I've just finished work. Do you want me to go pick Bobby up? And I was like, thank you so much. Thank you. I don't think I could have coped with picking her up and holding her. Oh, So my daughter-in-law, bless her, she went, so me and my friend he dug the grave in the garden. My daughter-in-law came, picked Bobby up. I'd got this beautiful pink box, and I was like, you know what, I'd like to bury her in that. So we put her in, she was all wrapped up. So when my daughter-in-law came, you couldn't see her. She was just all wrapped up in towels and blankets and everything. And we put her in the box, and then we put her in the grave, and then we covered it over. And because I have foxes in my garden and cats, we had to bury it quite deep, but also we've put, as you'll see, we put the slabs on top. Those are just there temporarily. In the summer, I can pressure wash them, get them nice and clean, and get a permanent proper marker for her grave. But so those are just down there temporarily, and we put that there so that the foxes don't dig and get to her. That would be awful. And then in the spring, I'm going to plant some bulbs, some tulips and some daffodils in that area, and then create a really nice little memorial place for her. Because at the back of my garden, it's kind of like a little woodland, and I've got a swing nearby. So, I'm going to make that a really nice memorial place for her. But, yeah, it's hard. And if you love pets, if you have a pet, if you've lost a pet, you'll know exactly what I'm going through. And to be honest, I did not appreciate how it feels to lose a pet until I had pets, because I used to look at Bobby and think, God, if anything happened to you, I don't know what I'd do. And I'm like that now with all my other cats. I've got 4 other cats, and I think, oh, if anything ever happened to you, I don't know what I'd do. But until I had them, I didn't appreciate it. I used to think, she wants a day off work because her cat's died, Didn't understand it. But I really do understand that people grieve, not just for humans, their family, their friends, their colleagues, but they also grieve, and quite hard and quite deeply, for their pets as well. So so it's tough. So what I've done is I've started a new YouTube channel. Oh, I forgot the name of it now. Cats. Oh, I forgot the name of it. How awful of me. I've started a new YouTube channel. What I'll do is I will drop a link below. And what I'm going to do, it's a tribute to my Bobby. I've got millions and millions of videos and photos of her over the years, over 20 years. And of course, I've got my 4 cats. So that's going to be my cat channel. So I'm going to upload mainly shorts of Bobby and Benji, Betsy, Bello and Boo over there. So if you like cats and you like my cats, then thank you. Please feel free to nip over there and subscribe. But even if you don't like cats, please just nip over there and subscribe just to support the channel. Growing a channel from scratch is hard. And mainly being short, I've got to get 10 million views. I know, 10 million. So, but I just want the world to see my cats and to follow their adventures, because they are funny little creatures. So guys, feel free to nip over to my new YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell, and also, watch a couple of the shorts if you can. So that's going to be my online tribute to my Bob, and I will upload more pictures of her and the adventures that she used to get up to when she was a sprightly young cat. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here with me today on this video, and thank you for the love that you guys have shown me and the support. You guys have, You guys have really been supportive. You've sent me private messages. You've posted on the Facebook page, on the YouTube page, and you know, and my friends who know me from YouTube and Instagram, although I haven't posted on Instagram because I don't go to Instagram very often these days, but yeah, lots and lots of messages of love and support and lots of phone calls and everything, because you guys know how much my Bobby meant to me. Anyway guys, thank you so much. And you can see I've got Christmas is up already. I am going to do a video when I get the house nice and tidy and organised, and I will show you my decorations. So yeah, look out for that next video. Guys, thank you so much for being here with me, and I will see you on the next video. Take care now. Bye bye.